Hello, and welcome to 1 in 20. Today we're going to be continuing our Help Me D&D series with Race. Now, however you play Race at your own table and whichever rules you like to use is perfectly up to you. But today we're just going to be talking about the 9 PHB rules as written races. And with that, let's get rolling. Dragonborns. Born long ago from dragon eggs themselves, these creatures now stand with many of the features of their draconic ancestry, scales and snouts, though they often lack wings and tails. They tend to stay in tribes and clans, and are very protective and proud of their heritage. These brave and noble warriors often seek out adventure, travelling the lands, carrying their draconic ancestry with them. They gain a +2 to their strength score, and a +1 to their charisma score. When you choose to be a Dragonborn, you choose which kind of dragon you descended from. There is a handy chart on page 29 of the player's handbook. Through this, you choose which colour of dragon your line of Dragonborns descended from. From this, you gain a breath attack and damage resistance. Both are decided by the origin of your draconic ancestry. So, for example, if your draconic line was a blue dragon, you would be able to shoot a line of lightning out of your mouth across the battlefield, and you gain a resistance which means half damage to all lightning-based attacks. Dwarves. Stout and strong, often found out in hills and mountains, though even in these places they construct great wonders of stone and earth. All dwarves gain a +2 to their constitution score. They gain dark vision up to 60 foot. Dark vision means that whatever the distance stated, you see dim light as normal light and darkness as dim light. This gives them an advantage at night or in underground environments that these races occasionally live in. They gain Dwarven Resilience, which means they gain advantage on all saving throws against poison, and if they take poison damage, they halve the amount they take. Dwarven Combat Training, which means they have proficiency in battle axes, hand axes, light hammers, and warhammers. A tool proficiency of your choice from smith's tools, brewer's supplies, or masonry tools. And finally, Stone Cunning. This means that if you're doing a history-based check to determine the origin of stonework, you get to add double your proficiency to that roll. Dwarves are then broken down into 2 subclasses, Hill Dwarf and Mountain Dwarf. Mountain Dwarves are stronger and generally more capable in combat. This is shown through their +2 to their strength score and additional martial training, which means they have proficiency in light armors and medium armors. Hill Dwarfs, on the other hand, are more in tune with their surrounding and their senses, and they have a higher fortitude. This is represented by their +1 to their wisdom score and their dwarven toughness. This means that you increase your maximum hit point score by 1 and then get an extra 1 hit point per level. Their size is medium, but they have a speed of 25 feet per move action. Elves. Beautiful and elegant creatures descended from the denizens of the Feywild themselves, adapting to live in nearly every environment on the material plane. They are on average shorter and weigh less than humans, but their ability to live for nearly 1,000 years gives them a perspective that can seem almost alien to the mere mortals around them. They gain a +2 to their dexterity score. They also have dark vision up to 60 foot, keen senses which gives you proficiency in the perception skill. Elves do not need to sleep. They instead go into a trance-like state where they meditate for 4 hours and gain the benefits of an 8-hour rest. Pretty useful if you're going to have your elf ranger on watch. And their Fey ancestry gives them advantage on all saving throws versus being charmed, and they also can never be put to sleep magically. Elves are medium creatures and have a base speed of 30 feet per move action. Elves are broken down into 3 subclasses. First we have Drow. Now Drow have come about differently depending on the lore of the world you're in. For example, in the Sword Coast, the lore is that they were banished from the surface realm for following the evil goddess Spider Queen Lolth. Because of this, their skin has darkened and their hair is pale, and they have adapted to live in the Underdark. They gain a +1 to their charisma score. They get a superior dark vision, which gives them the dark vision that we've talked about before, but up to 120 feet. However, the downside to this is they have sunlight sensitivity. This is because of their extreme adaptation to life underground. Sunlight sensitivity means that whenever you're making an attack roll or perception check, and either you or your target is in direct sunlight, that roll will be at disadvantage. They also have a knack for natural magics. Because of this, at first level you're able to cast the cantrip Dancing Lights. At 3rd level you gain the spell Fairy Fire, and at 5th level you gain the spell Darkness. This is through the feature of Drow Magic. These are natural spells to you and they do not count towards your spell slots used, though you can only use them once per long rest, and they use your charisma score as their base modifier. They also have Drow weapon training, which makes them proficient in rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. Next is the Wood Elf. Wood Elves have natural intuition and keen senses. They are also more stealthy, which comes in handy in the forests and woods that they make their homes in. They get a +1 to their wisdom score. They get Elven weapon training, which makes them proficient in long swords, short bows, and longbows. They have the feature Fleet of Foot, which makes their speed 35 instead of the normal 30. And finally, the Wood Elves have Mask of the Wild. This allows them to make a stealth check in situations where most races couldn't, when they're only lightly obscured, such as in light snowfall or rain. Normally, for the rules as written, you need to be heavily obscured by something before you can attempt to make a stealth check. And finally, High Elves. High Elves have keen and curious minds and believe strongly in the importance of education. Because of this, they gain a +1 to their intelligence score. They also gain Elven weapon training, being proficient in long swords, short bows, and longbows. They gain 1 cantrip from the wizard's spell list that will use your intelligence score as its modifier. And they gain 1 additional language of your choice. Halflings are small but curious creatures, and we all know a few of them since their rise to fame on the big screen. While most long for the comforts of home, curiosity occasionally gets the better of some and they head out into the wild world. Standing at about 3 foot and weighing only 40 pounds, these small creatures know how to use what they have to pull off the most heroic feats. Halflings are small creatures and therefore have a speed of 25 feet per move action. They gain a +2 to their dexterity score, and their bravery and natural luck always comes through in a pinch. They have the features Lucky, which means any time a nat 1 is rolled, you may re-roll that dice once, taking the new result. And trust me, I know a few players in our Ravis campaign that could do with this. The Brave feature gives them advantage on saving throws against becoming frightened. And finally, the feature Halfling Nimbleness lets them use their size to full advantage, allowing you to move through the space of a creature that is at least 1 size category larger than you. Halflings in the PHB are broken down into 2 subclasses, the Stout Halfling and the Lightfoot Halfling. The Stout Halfling are hardier and said to have the blood of the dwarves coursing through their veins. They have a +1 to their constitution score and stout resilience. This, like the dwarven resilience feature, gives them advantage on saving throws against poison, and if they take poison damage, they are resistant, meaning they take half damage. Lightfoot halflings are said to be the sneakiest, but also the friendliest. Because of this, they have a +1 to their charisma score and the feature naturally stealthy. This allows them to make stealth checks when there is a creature of at least 1 size category larger than them stood in front of them, or between them and the person they're trying to hide from. Next, the Half-Elf. Usually a combination of humans and elves, although this isn't always the case, and feel free to work with your DM about what sort of mix of races you'd like to be. Because of this, they feel like they're torn between 2 worlds and never really belong in either. Often skilled in diplomacy and negotiation, they gain a +2 to their charisma score and a +1 to 2 separate other ability scores. They are medium creatures and have a speed of 30 feet per move action. While generally sleeker than most humans, they don't differ that much in size, and can often hide their elven features to pass if they need to. They have dark vision up to 60 foot. From their elven line they gain the Fey Ancestry feature, meaning they have advantage on saving throws versus being charmed, and they cannot be put to sleep magically, even though they do sleep like their human halves. They gain the Skill Versatility feature, which lets you choose 2 different skills to gain proficiency in from the get-go. And finally, 1 additional language of your choice. Humans. Now, humans are the most diverse of all the races, living in the widest variety of places and having the largest range of skills. Because of this, they gain a +1 to all their ability scores, and 1 extra language of your choice. Now, there is a variant in the player's handbook that not all DMs run with. If your DM is using the variant human, they gain a +1 to 2 different ability scores, a feat of your choice from the player's handbook feats, or the feats that they are using in their campaign, and 1 skill proficiency or tool proficiency of your choice. The Half-Orc. Like the Half-Elves, they are from 2 worlds but can never really fit into either. Too large and muscular for humans, and too weak and brittle for the orcs. Because of this, most Half-Orcs have a hard life, being rejected by those who just don't understand them. Half-Orcs are medium creatures and have a speed of 30 foot per move action. They stand between 6 and 7 foot and can weigh up to 250 pounds. These towering brutes get a +2 to their strength score and a +1 to their constitution score. They gain dark vision up to 60 foot. The feature menacing gives them proficiency in the intimidation skill, and savage attacker feature lets them add an extra damage die whenever they make a crit, making them a force to be feared on the battlefield. And let's not forget relentless endurance, which means whenever you are reduced to 0 hit points and would have gone unconscious, you are instead left on 1 hit point with that last fighting chance to do something about your situation. Gnomes. These small creatures are known for their excitable nature and pleasant demeanour. When a gnome loves something, they love it. Because of their intense love for the things they do and their lifespan of nearly 500 years, they are able to perfect their hobbies, becoming master craftsmen in skills that are too complicated for most. They are small creatures and tend to be between 3 and 4 foot. They weigh between 40 and 50 pounds. They have a movement speed of 25 foot per move action. Because of their natural intelligence and inquisitive nature, they gain a +2 to their intelligence score. They have dark vision up to 60 foot and a feature called Gnome Cunning, which gives them advantage on all intelligence, wisdom and charisma saving throws against magic. Gnomes are broken down into 2 subclasses, forest gnomes and rock gnomes. Forest gnomes, as their name suggests, tend to live closely with nature. They have keen senses and a natural knack for illusion-based magic. They gain a +1 to their dexterity score. They also gain the features Natural Illusionist and Speak with Small Beasts. It is said in forest gnome culture, a forest gnome child is given a small beast as a companion. Because of this, they are able to communicate emotions and gestures and simple ideas to small beasts that they may find around them. The Natural Illusionist feature gives them access to the Minor Illusion cantrip, using your intelligence score as its base modifier. Rock gnomes gain their name from their hardy nature and in general are tougher than other gnomes found around the world. They are also natural engineers and tinkerers. Because of this, they gain a +1 to their constitution score, and they gain the features Artificer's Law. This means that whenever you make a history check relating to magical items, alchemical objects, or technological devices, you get to add double your proficiency score to that check. And the Tinkerer feature, which means that they have proficiency with Tinkerer tools and can use these tools in an hour of their time to create small devices that can do a variety of things, from a clockwork toy to a fire starter or even a music box. This can be a cool feature for you and your DM to play around with, see what cool things your gnome can create. And finally, Tieflings. Tieflings were once other humanoid races that long ago through various methods infused their nature with devilish or demonic beings. Because of this, they are a range of heights and weights, but always have a prevailing feature of their demonic ancestry, from horns, tails to even wings, and most tend to have a reddish to purple skin colour. Because of this, they are often met with distrust and suspicion from the common folk around them. They are medium creatures and have a speed of 30 feet per move action. Their bond with their demonic or devilish ancestry influences them further than just their appearance. Because of this blood running through their veins, they have a +1 to their intelligence score and a +2 to their charisma score. They have dark vision up to 60 foot and gain the features Hellish Resistance and Infernal Legacy. Hellish Resistance gives them a natural resistance to fire. This means any fire damage taken by a tiefling is halved. Infernal Legacy gives them natural access to 3 spells. At first level, you gain the cantrip Thaumaturgy. At third level, you gain the spell Hellish Rebuke. And at 5th level, you gain the spell Darkness. These spells come naturally and do not count against your spell slots or spells used, though you can only use them once per long rest, and they use your charisma score as their base modifier. Whew! Now that was a long one. But there it is, all the races from the PHB. You're now ready to get your equipment and go forth and adventure. And remember, roll well. Bye.